Hello everyone, it is beginning of December and I know garden videos right now are pretty much done. Up here in Ontario today, I don't know if you can see out the window, it's snowing. We haven't really had too much snow lately. You can still see the grass basically. Today we might get another inch or so, and in the next 2 weeks the temperatures are supposed to not get below probably 20 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. Not -4 or 5 Celsius during the day, and at nighttime it gets colder, but the wind's been picking up. Anyway, the video that I want to make today and talk to you guys about is my experience with the market. Now, I know I've talked about it probably back in June or August or September or whenever that I wanted to make a video kind of recapping the market year. So for the ones that don't know, I did a farmer's market this year, a local one that was, a few lines over, a few roads over, maybe 3 miles away, something like that, not very far, 5 miles. And it was every Wednesday night, Wednesday afternoon from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. And going into it, I was quite nervous because I didn't know what to expect as far as market, whether there's going to be a lot of competition, whether I'm going to be the only one, whether people are going to be selling what I'm selling and their products are better, look better than mine, or they're cheaper, or I really didn't know what to expect. And I kind of did some research a bit on the market I was going to. However, this was the 4th year they had it, so again, it's still a very infancy stage market. And not to jump ahead, but I really can't see it getting any better than it has been. I'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, basically, I was contacted the market manager. This is back in, April, I guess, March or April, and just inquired. And he told me I was on the phone with him for an hour. He kind of sold me really well on this particular market. And even though it was a small one, or first starting one, he said, last year they had good amount of turnout, good amount of vendors. The year before, I thought, great. And I didn't know anybody that either went to the market or was a vendor at it previously, so I didn't have anybody to kind of talk to. However, as the weeks went on, I got in contact with a woman that actually did the market, I think the first year. So that would have been, I guess it would have been 2011. I think was the first year they did it. It was 2011 summer, and she actually doesn't live too far from me, which was nice. I was able to, as the summer went on, I would go over and see her garden. She'd come up and see mine. We'd just kind of talk about marketing and about the markets and different things, among other things. But anyway, so she kind of gave me some good information as far as how to price things, how much to bring, what to bring, kind of how to set up your display. And this is all based on what she used to do. Over the past few years, she's done a couple different markets in the area. I think she didn't stick to one for more than a year just because she was unhappy with it or wanted to try something else. But this year she didn't do a market because she has a new baby that was born almost a year ago today, or almost a year ago, like in December. I think it's actually coming up. But anyway, so she didn't have the time this year. I think she works full time. She's a nurse, I believe, at the local hospital. But in any case, she didn't have time to do it this year. But she gave me information, which was good. It gave me a sense of I'm not going in completely blind. You know what I mean? And so basically, I don't think I've made a video on the market, but for those of you that follow me on Instagram, which I don't know if there's very many of you, it is set to private just because I hate getting spam people to follow. But if you're interested in the name, feel free to leave it in the comments below and I'll send you a message with it. And that has all my pictures from the market every week, and same thing on Facebook, which that's kind of more private, but I put pictures every week of what my stand looked like, usually 2 or 3 pictures. And the way I had it set up is I used 2 of those folding tables. I guess they're 5 feet long, 5 or 6 feet long, and they fold up and they fit real nice in the car. And then I had one of those pop-up canopies that has like the 4 legs and it kind of folds together and the legs, you know what I mean? I'm sure you've seen them before. Portable canopies, I think they call them. Actually, the one that I have, my parents bought for me kind of as a gift for doing, to go to the market, because I said I was wanted to do that, and they found a really good deal on it, so they picked that up for me, which it ended up working out great. Some of the other people that went to the market The vendors, they had canopies where like the poles, all the pieces of like pole were all separate, and they kind of pushed together and clicked together. And days when it was a little bit windy or the conditions weren't very nice, they were struggling with them, or they had to have 2 or 3 people help them. And so I'm glad, the money was spent to get a good one, and this one will last me for years, really. I only have one little tear in it, and that was because when I think it was the first or second week when I was folding it back together, and I did it all myself. One was caught on one of the edges of the screws, so it ripped it, but it was only this little, so it wasn't really big. Just put tape on it, no big deal. So anyway, that was definitely something to use. The tables were great. I had tablecloths, just cheap ones from the dollar store, and taped it on, whatever. So I think my display looked pretty nice overall. So again, then how I kind of decided on what to bring was I tried to base it on the previous week. Now the thing is, with this market, after being there, 20 weeks has gone by, and obviously you can reflect back on it, is that this market in particular, there was zero consistency as far as how many vendors came, what types of vendors came, and the weather was a big factor. Also, there was no consistency on the amount of customers. There'd be one week in the beginning where I'd sell, say, 9 or 10 bunches of radishes, and then the next week I'd sell 3. Why only sell 3 if the week before you sold 10, and then the following week you'll sell a dozen? And the only consistent thing I had that I ever sold was my sugar snap peas. The first week I had them for, I think, 3 or 4 weeks, and I know I sold more and more increasingly as the weeks went on. But again, I thought for the rest of the stuff, I thought there would actually be a bit of a curve. It might start out a little bit, say at a 0 out of 10 at 5 for attendance, and then it would go up to 10, and then it would drop back down to 5 or 3 as the season ended. As far as the amount of people that came, just based on what's available in this climate and what's available at certain times of the year. Obviously June was a slower month, but July and August were big months for me. I had a lot of product. I had a lot of zucchini, a lot of cucumbers, tomatoes. I had beans. I had sugar snap peas in the beginning part of July, and I had all these things, and it kind of was very disheartening, to be honest with you, that the lack of consistency. In the spring, I spent so much time cleaning lettuce and drying lettuce and putting it in bags, and overall they sold well, but again, there was no consistency. The first week, I was rushing around to get everything done. I should have allotted myself more time in the morning to pick things. But I know the first week, I think I had, I'm trying to think what I had. I know I had mustard greens. I think I had some Swiss chard even. I had lettuce mixes, spicy green mixes, and radishes. And I also had bok choys, and I had tatsoys, which those are both kind of like an Asian type of vegetable. And one of my things is what my friend Cindy told me is, she said, try to have things that are unique. Not a lot, just some things that are different that people may not see every day. Well, the bok choys were a great example. Yes, you can buy them in the grocery store. Most people, especially older people, probably look at them and they say, I don't know what to do with them. Same thing would happen. People would come to the market and they'd say, what do I do with this? So I tell them, stir fry it, steam it, whatever. And they're like, well, maybe next week. Well, next week came and went, and they never bought any, which I guess is to be expected. I can't expect people to come every week and buy things every single week. But, as in the area that I'm in here, it's an older area as far as the demographic of people are older, and meaning probably 45 and above. Not everybody, but the majority of the people in the area. I'm in a big farming area, big kind of expanse of just farmland and some woods here and there, some woodlands, but then that's pretty much it. A bunch of lakes and different things, but kind of out in the sticks a little bit, which is good. That's why I like it out here. But anyway, so I guess what I was getting at when I said about people they didn't know what to do with bok choys or something like that. Even Swiss chard, they say, what is that? What is that? And then you have people that came and said, oh, I love Swiss chard. I'll buy 5 bunches. Which is good, but it's like, well, I almost rather sell 2 bunches to 3 different people than one person buying 5. I know at the end of the day, money is money, but I like having more people that taste the product that I have. That way they can eat it and then they can decide for themselves. So out of 3, if one would come back, that'd be great. But if you only sold it to one person and that person didn't come back, then your chances of having a repeat customer is less. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to turn someone away if they want to buy all the Swiss chard that I have at one shot. Why would I turn them away? Another thing that I've learned is, kind of jumping around a bit here, but feel free to ask questions in the comments if you are unsure of something that I said or kind of get my thoughts on something. But basically, the lack of consistency, and the thing is, what kind of sold me, one of the things that sold me is what the market manager, again, he did a great job selling to me how great this market is. And the thing he sold me on is, I think it started on week 2 or 3 through till about week 15. They had at the complex, the building they had that the market was held outside in the parking lot. There was youth soccer, grade school. I don't think junior high school, but like grade school up to grade 5 or 6 or something like that. On both sides of the street, just 10 fields and all this youth soccer. And the main registration area and sign up area, you have to go kind of through where the market area is. And the market manager sold me on, we're going to get so much business from soccer people. Well, that turned out to be total opposite. It all, thinking back, in all honesty, I probably didn't make more than $20 for the whole season off of soccer people. Which I get. People come with their kids are hungry, they'll go and eat at a place there that has food. Even the food people didn't do very well. And this guy that actually came with a food truck, hamburgers, hot dogs, bison burgers, all these things, by the middle of the season, he stopped coming. Because some days he'd only make $100. And having a big trailer with propane and electricity and all that, that's not worth it for $100 at all. He needs to make a few $100s. And he would tell me he would go to different bigger events around the area, different shows, and he'd make thousands of dollars, $1,000. Well, $1,000 is a lot more than $100, excuse me. But anyway, so he stopped coming, and that was kind of the norm as the season went on with vendors. Some of them stopped coming. They just stopped, or they would say, "I'll be here in 2 weeks," and then they never came back. Which I get 100%. With me, I don't know, probably by week 12. The turnout as far as people was so pitiful, I was ready to kind of throw in the towel. But then I said to myself, you know what, I paid for the season up front. It doesn't really cost me that much to go there because I'm so close. All it basically does is cost me time. And the thing is the vegetables that are in the garden, in the greenhouse, if I don't pick them, they're going to go bad. So what I eventually started doing is picking less. And the funny thing is I picked less, and I thought, well, maybe I'll sell out because I brought less. You get less customers. And granted, on Wednesday afternoons for the better part of, 30 or 40% of the weeks in the beginning of the season, it was rainy or it was cool or windy, so the conditions weren't that great. But there is a huge farmers market in town on Saturday mornings. Yes, Saturday mornings, that's like prime time. Saturday, Sunday mornings, in my opinion, that one goes from 8 o'clock till 1 o'clock. That's prime time. In town too, but in any case, rain or shine, and it was always busy. I remember going, I think it was in maybe later July, the end of July, and there were hundreds, wall-to-wall people down the street, and vendors lined it, and there were probably maybe say 20, 30 vendors, probably even quite closer to 30, and everybody's stall was just filled with people, and there's a huge variety of people selling meats, vegetables, baked goods, coats, whatever. but it's an old-time market, been around forever. Again, a great location, great day, great time. Now, the Wednesday thing, I don't necessarily think that was one of the reasons why, but one reason is the location. This place where it was actually at the township building, so it's an easy place to find if you Google it or look it up, but it's not near anything. The main road that goes by that area, you're probably off the road 2 or 3 miles, so you gotta drive an extra 10 minutes sometimes on these back roads to get to it. And people that are just driving home from work, they're not going to spend an extra 10 minutes or 15-20 minutes while you go up and back just to go to check out a market. It's not convenient. So I think next year that market, if they have it, needs to be in a different location, closer to the highway. At the end of the day, are they going to do that? I don't know. And again, that's not kind of my job. Just kind of going over how my market experience was. And, you know, so I know it jumps around a lot, but things that my friend Cindy told me, a lot of things came true. As the season went on, I kind of actually learned about how the market manager, how he kind of operated, and how he always painted a perfectly positive situation. He would send us emails every week to, you know, all the vendors saying how it was nice that everybody came out, or the ones that came out, and how great of a turnout we had. And the thing is the vendors that weren't there every week, the week that they would come, say he sent it out on the 10th of June, say that's the Wednesday, and say how great it was. Well, then when the 17th rolled around, the next market day, some of those people would come to me and say, well, how was the market yesterday? And I said, it wasn't anything like the email said. Now, I understand trying to, you know, keep things positive to try to get people to come, but you're kind of lying to them a little bit, saying how great it was when it actually wasn't. Towards the end of the season, into September, the way that it worked is like from 2:45 to 3 o'clock, you know, that's when the setup time was. Is between then until about 4 o'clock, it was busy. And busy doesn't mean 100 people came through, but there was always 1 or 2 people there looking at everything. Whether they bought or not, that's not the issue. It's that the people were there. But almost like once 4 o'clock hit through to about 6 o'clock, it was dead. There were weeks where I didn't have one customer for over an hour. And not just me not having it, no one came. So to me, that shows that there's something wrong. So it kind of goes hand in hand, where the vendors, they say, well, I don't want to keep wasting my time coming here if no one's even here. Not that they're not buying from me, but just no one's here at all. But then people that come to look, they say, wow, there's only 5 vendors here today, so I'm not going to come next week. So it goes hand in hand. You know, vendors don't come because there's no people. The people don't come because there's no vendors. You know, as the season went on, I got a little bit upset because in the beginning, it was me and another girl were the only vegetable vendors. And eventually she only came for a few weeks, and then she stopped coming. She didn't have the type of product that I had. She was a few weeks behind, which actually worked out good. But, you know, she eventually just stopped coming. I never really found out why. I don't know the girl. But I was the only vegetable vendor for a while. So that was actually pretty good, in my opinion, for me, because when people came to buy vegetables, they knew I was there. They knew the product that I'd have, because I had a whiteboard. I would write on there what I'd have the next week, as well as what I had this week, and I talked to the people. And about halfway through the season, all of a sudden one day, 3 new vegetable vendors just showed up. And they were all selling what I was selling: beans, zucchinis, cucumbers. They were all, and I got really upset. Really, I really got upset, because I kind of thought, you know what? I've been the only vendor that was here every week up until this time, and I was selling good product. And now these other people just waltz in here and start taking my business away, in a sense. And the thing is the market manager, his thoughts were, well, if we have more vendors, we'll have more people. Well, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And the reason, in my opinion, why it doesn't work that way is because there was very little advertising. You know, he would show me week to week. He said, oh, we're going to have an ad in next week's paper. Well, instead of taking out a quarter-page ad saying, you know, this is all the vendors, this is what we're having, he takes out this little ad in the back of the paper. Who reads that? I don't. I don't read the paper very much, but I never look at those ads, because it's just businesses listing their services, and that's the section where you put it. And I kind of thought to myself, I was told we have a bigger advertising budget. Where's that advertising budget going? He had a couple sandwich board signs, 2 of them at the end of certain intersections. But people don't see that stuff. You know what I mean? And I think the advertising needs to be better. In the beginning of the season, think of what week, say maybe week 1, week 10, and maybe week 15 or 16 or something like that. Space it out and take out a quarter-page ad in the paper, as close to the front as you can. And whether it's in color or not, that's besides the point. But say, list all the vendors, what's being sold, and then have theme days. Free kids stuff or something. Just have. I know that takes a lot of coordinating to do, and you got to get the people to come to do it, the vendors, or even the volunteers, really. And but I think it's still worth a shot. because people have kids. Kids don't want to just go to a farmer's market unless there's pony rides, unless there's, you know, face painting, cotton candy, or stuff like that. I know that might get into around more of like a fair or a carnival, but you got to do something to bring the people there. Because the thing is, once they come and see all the vendors, that may make them come back, because they're like, oh, I like that person's bread, I like that guy's zucchini, or, you know, whatever. And that's the thing. We had a lady that came from a bakery, who was there every week, and eventually she stopped coming because she wasn't selling anything. She wasn't selling it. And then people would come to me, customers, and say, well, where's the lady with the bread? And I said, she doesn't come anymore because there's low turnout. And they said, oh, that stinks, because I come there specifically for that, and then I like to look around. And guess what? I never saw those people again. You know, maybe that's something that other markets have contracts saying you have to be there, or you forfeit your entrance fee or something. I really don't know how it works. But I know this video is getting long. I'm kind of rambling on, but basically, next year I will definitely be doing. I'd like to really do a market. I mean, if life gets in the way, or who knows what happens between now and really next April or May, once I really start focusing on what I'm going to plant and getting stuff ready in the greenhouse. But I'd like to do the market again. I don't think I'm going to do this market unless I find out that things have changed, and things have changed that, in my opinion, would be for the better. Not just changing this or changing it a different hour. That's crap. That doesn't work. You know, and if I don't find a change in that, I'm gonna set my sights somewhere else. And now, speaking of somewhere else, there's a couple places that are within a half an hour away, which half an hour is a lot farther than 10 minutes, but you know, still, it is a lot that time. You know what I mean? Obviously, Saturday and Sundays are the best. However, Saturdays or Sundays for me, at this point, are the worst days, because I'm not going to be able to do them. Just because of the way the horses are working out and the farms are working out. But anyway, you know, I'm going to really start doing research in the next few weeks, next few months really, we're only in the beginning of December, to kind of inquire about other markets, to see what the success has been, the type of turnout, even look online or on YouTube. I'm not sure there's very many videos of markets in this area, because it's not a huge area really. But I definitely want to do it next year. I know I didn't even touch on what I grew. Maybe we'll do that in a video in a couple weeks. Next week, just kind of going over what I did grow and the reason why. But I just want to give you an insight of how, if you think about going into farmers markets, it's easy. The concept is easy. Finding a market to go is easy. But once you're there and you find out how disappointing it can be, it may be a turn off. Like, I've learned a lot, but I've also learned to not trust people that tell me how great a market is without me actually being there. You know what I mean? And that's what happened this year. But again, I wanted to start out small, and for the fee that I had to pay, I got a lot back due to, I guess, lack of interest. Really, we got a big discount at the end of the season. You know, so I made some money at the end of the day. Not a lot, a few $100s for the season, but I still made enough to make it feel worth it to do it again. And I think there's still snow. I don't know if you can see that. But I'm going to get this posted, and you know, if you guys have any questions about specific things or just in general, let's leave it in the comments, you know, or send me a message. You know, that's always, inbox is always open. I usually get back to you pretty quick. But thanks for watching, and hopefully this brought some insight as far as my frustrations really about the market this year. And hopefully next year it'll be a lot better than it did this year, or you know, maybe it's time to move on and do something else. Who knows? Thanks for watching.